They just never make it easy. Now we are getting somewhere. What's up, everybody? Kier Gomes here, and welcome to Wayback Wednesday, episode 22. 22 episodes. I don't know where the time goes, but you probably don't care. We're having a good time. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at a deck of cards made for magicians by magicians. We are going to be looking at the At the Table live lecture series playing cards by Murphy's Magic. This is a reprint of the decks that were actually available at the lecture. I didn't go to the lecture, so I snagged some of these off of Murphy's website as soon as they became available. You may have seen them in some of my videos, you may not have. I don't use them very often, but today I'm gonna open up a brand new deck so I can give you an honest review of how these cards handle right out of the box. Before we get started, please do drop a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's roll that intro and get you guys on your way. All right, now, if you're new to Magic and you've never attended a lecture or any kind of convention for Magic, it really is a unique experience. There's always so much value that comes out of it. Usually, in the past, like when I got into Magic, magicians really had an ego, and there was a reputation for every magician being kind of an asshole. And in some cases, that was definitely true. I've definitely met my share of magicians that were very fueled by their ego. So let's pop open the cellophane on these and start talking. They just never make it easy. Now we are getting somewhere. Jeez, man, oh my gosh. If they made it any more difficult to get to the cards, they might as well be in Fort Knox. All right, so let's get into it. The tuck case is done in green and white glossy cardstock. Ultimately, the back design of the cards is this at the table pattern that you see in the background. It wraps all the way around front and back. This makes for a really elegant looking tuck box. I also love the use of white and green. It kind of gives that expert at the card table feel, which obviously is what this live lecture was based off of. The emblem in the center says At the Table, and then at the bottom it says At the Table Finest Quality Cards. One side of the box says Murphy's Magic Playing Card Company. The side has some ad copy about the USPCC. The Murphy's Magic Company emblem is at the bottom of the deck. There is nothing on the top, and the back design is essentially the back design of the cards, but with no border. Inside the tongue flaps, you get the two Murphy's Magic logos. There is nothing else on the inside of the box. All right, now, as my man Stephen Hammer would say, don't spend 15 minutes on the box. Let's crack it open and talk about the cards. Right out of the box, they're super stiff, so we'll talk about that. All right, so this is the back design of the cards. As you can see, it is an At the Table logo that is repeated to kind of make this very elegant, almost like a mint playing card pattern, but also I think really meant to look like a standard casino deck of cards. It is a lot more elegant looking though, and I think that the white border really adds some texture to it, and I really, really like it. If you look very closely at the back of the deck, you can see that it just says At multiple times, creating that shape, and then it has like a table shape in the middle. So you do get two very minimalistic and very elegant jokers. They say Joker top and bottom, and they have the At the Table emblem right there in the middle. Very standard, but I like it. If you're using this deck for Magic, I like jokers like that. Just look really nice, very clean. I like it. Your Ace of Spades is going to look very familiar. It's extremely similar. It's almost identical, actually, to a Rider-back Ace of Spades. The only difference is that the spade pip is made in green to match the aesthetic of the deck. But it still says Bicycle 808, which is the original Rider-back, and then has some ad copy about USPCC just below it. Now, this is really cool. Because this is not advertised as a bicycle deck. So for the decks that you see that have bicycle written on them, like on the tuck case, that's where you're gonna see an Ace of Spades that matches, almost like the Bicycle Inspire deck that I did a couple episodes ago. But this is not advertised as a bicycle deck, and it still has that traditional bicycle Ace of Spades, and I really, really like that, especially because this was a deck made specifically for magicians. Now, you don't get any gaff cards, but you do get ad cards for the weekly At the Table live lecture. I don't think Murphy's is still doing that. If you know Let me know down in the comments, but I don't believe that they're doing that anymore. All right, now the rest of your cards are gonna be almost completely standard, but as you can see already, there is some color swapping going on there, and there's also some customization on the courts, so let's talk about that. You're basically gonna get bicycle standard faces in terms of like, here's the 2 and the 3 of spades. The spades are gonna look exactly like you would find them on a bicycle deck, no difference whatsoever. The pips are the same shape, same size, font is the same. But when you get to the court cards, you can see that the main primary color here is green. So again, it matches the back design of the deck. Everything is done in green and black, which I think looks okay. I would have preferred just regular standard, but I do like that there was that little extra step put into this deck. In terms of the design, I think it helps. This is what your Queen of Spades looks like. King of Spades. Now, if you look at the diamonds and hearts, they are maroon instead of that bright red color. So really, really muted these down. And it looks all right. From far back, it almost looks like they're black. So that might be a little bit of an issue, but not really. I mean, overall, I think you'd be fine. All right, now as you can see on the hearts and diamonds, the court cards, the primary color being used there is red. So everything is red and black as opposed to green and black on the clubs and spades. And that's what the court cards on the hearts look like. Again, in red. Now that I don't know about. I don't know if I like the idea that the clubs and spades are in green and then the hearts and diamonds are in red. I think that would be okay if it was the faces, like if the pips were, you know, switched colors, but I think having 2 court cards that are completely contrasted, green and red, it makes it a little bit, I don't know, it just makes it a little bit less desirable, at least for me. I think it would have been cool if there was a mix of red and green in both, but having 2 very drastic color changes, it's just not for me. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Here is one more look at the back design. I actually really, really like that back design. In terms of a simple, standard looking deck, but with that hint of elegance, this is where it's at for sure. I really like that. That's pretty much how they look. Let's switch angles now and talk about how they handle. Okay, now these cards are dying to be broken in. So right out of the box, they are very, very stiff. Like I'm having a hard time beveling them at all, especially this way. Very difficult. But before we break them in, you can see right out of the box, they fan very beautifully. I like that they don't have defined white border because it really just makes the flourishes look a little bit cooler. And I think that if it had a defined border, it would take away from the cleverness of the back design. So I like that it has one, but I also like that it isn't a defined or outline border. If you fan the cards for the indices, you get something like this. It looks fairly standard, but with the maroon instead of bright red. The cards definitely spread very easily, and this is a deck that you would use for card table stuff as well, so table spreads would look phenomenal with this deck. Guys, I can't wait anymore. I am dying to break in this deck. It is so stiff, I just can't help it. Let's start shuffling. It's even hard to riffle shuffle at first. Like, I mean, it's very stiff. Now, this deck is printed on traditional bicycle stock by the United States Playing Card Company, and it does have an air cushion finish. I don't really know what's going on with the stiffness. I haven't had a deck be this stiff in a while. Probably since the Blood Kings by Illusionist. That's probably the closest comparison I can give you in terms of how they feel and in terms of the overall stiffness. So if you're new to playing cards and you're not sure how to properly break in your cards, I'm sure that there is tons and tons of videos out there, but ultimately you want to make sure that you give them some shuffles. Definitely make sure that you spring the cards and do any sort of pressure move that you can do. Under pressure is always a good way to get that bevel in the cards, which helps you loosen them up. God, they are stiff though. Let's see how the cards faro. They definitely faro best from top to bottom. This is definitely not a deck that you would want to use for cardistry, and I say that because the colors on the back are so light that, as you can see right now, even with just the 2 lights on me, you can barely see the design of the card, so it makes flourishes just a little bit boring. Now, because these cards are so stiff, and normally I would check the snappiness by doing a Cyclone, I actually think that you can get a feel for how snappy they are if I do a Cyclone from a top down. So I went ahead and already filmed a clip, and I'll insert that right here. You can hear how snappy it is. Like, you can hear that pop. So in general, I would say these cards are definitely not my favorite in terms of the way that they handle. I think that this would have been a great deck to see printed on a crushed stock or just something a little bit softer. Even like a reprint today with like crushed B stock or something would have been really, really nice to see for this deck. All right, but to really give you a feel for what this deck's intended purpose is, which is Magic, here is just a very quick Magic trick that I filmed with this deck. That's how the deck feels, so there you go. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Way Back Wednesday and my review of the At the Table Playing Cards by Murphy's Magic. If you're interested in picking up this deck for yourself, it may still be available at murphysmagic.com, but I am not 100% sure. In general, I mean, it doesn't hold up to what I would consider to be more modern standards, just in terms of the fact that these cards are extremely stiff coming out of the box. After you break them in, they do feel really good, but it takes a while. And I've been saying it for a while. I'm so spoiled by USPCC now that having to break in my own cards is, if nothing else, a little bit of a burden. Also, if you guys are interested in winning a deck of Black Roses Casino playing cards, as well as a t-shirt from Black Roses, if you haven't seen that or if you're new to this channel, I will make sure that I put the tile somewhere at the end of this video so you can just click right on it, go to it, watch the whole thing, figure out how you can enter. Hopefully that's enough to get you to like this video if you did like it, and consider subscribing if you haven't. As well, just a real quick thing, I may or may not be uploading anything this weekend. It is my nephew's birthday. He's turning 2. I'm very excited, but we're gonna go celebrate this weekend. I'll be out of town. I don't know if I'll have time to get a video shot and edited before then. If I do, then I'll see you guys on Saturday, but if I don't, I'll see you guys next week. All right, guys, Halloween's coming up, so let me know what deck you would like me to do for next Way Back Wednesday. All that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. I know I will. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.